Good morning, everybody. And I know this is the longest week of our lives. We are still waiting on Irma at this point, and there have been a couple of adjustments. And so every time we're seeing something that changes or moves, we're starting to get a little more nervous, a little more anxious, and perhaps a little more afraid. So I can't do anything about this. I sure do wish I had the power to do something about this. But what I will share with you is what we know and what we're watching right now. So please try to be patient. Kristen, how are you doing? Kristen's in Melbourne. Kristen, you better write and tell me how you're doing. Because I know winds and rain are picking up down there. So today's serious day. I'd love to have some fun. I haven't slept. Good morning to you, Valerie, and I'm sure most of you haven't slept, and I don't imagine any of us is going to get any sleep tonight. So as things start slowing down a bit, as best as you can, be patient. Please don't tell me you have friends at the coast and they won't evacuate. I can't even hear that at this point. If you have friends at the coast, you need to, as best as you can, because you have today to do it up here in North Florida, get the hell out. And when I say this to you, I am not trying to scare you, but there is not a reason in the world for you to be staying at a coastal property when you will have the greatest impact. If you're in a mobile home, get the hell out. These are unsafe places. We are looking at maybe a little bit more in the way of wind and rain. So Kristen's in Melbourne. She says that for sure the rain is in. I think the problem, and this is what I'm waiting for on you, and I'll show you the radar in a second. As soon as it starts raining and it's consistent, it won't stop until it passes. All right, be patient. If you're on the coast, if you're in a mobile home, you get out. Everybody else, be patient. And I didn't even realize this, but people all around are kind of watching this, and I'm trying to share this as best as I can. I have a little bit more time to try to answer questions. I'm going to give you some time now, but like most of you, I still have stuff I got to get done. So let's chat. Let me show you, and then let's just try to figure this out, okay? So again, please be patient. I'm tired, and my voice is going. So there's that. All right, we just had a landfall. It's probably the most important piece of information. Irma made landfall at Cudjoe Key in the Lower Keys. The center crossed over with a gust to 106 miles per hour, and it did so at 9:10. So about a half an hour ago, it crossed over the Keys. As it moved over, that was another landfall. I think this is the third at this point. Right now, the center is located 20 miles east-northeast of Key West. East-northeast of Key West, about 20 miles, but Cudjoe Key is actually where the landfall is. All right, so there's your radar. All right, so let's get the handy-dandy pointer. Here we are. All right, so there's the eye wall. See that? That's that intense area that moved across. They're picking up 106-mile-an-hour gusts. You figure out why? That's why. All right, so here's Melbourne up here, and you have had some scattered stuff. Look for the winds to start increasing. Kristen, you're up here, and it'll increase throughout the day. Again, most of the hurricane is still to your south. Here's Tampa Bay. Every place, Tampa, Sarasota, all these places to the south, and this is the lower third of the peninsula. You guys are starting to see the hurricane. This is the real hurricane. This isn't outflow. This isn't this is the hurricane. All right, so Irma's rotating counterclockwise. Everything on the southeast coast of the peninsula is coming in from the southeast. So you've had the rain, and this started yesterday. The yellow, the orange, these are the heavier thunderstorms, so this is nonstop. You get bands with breaks in them, so you'll get some wind gusts, some downpours, and then a few breaks, but this is the core area. That's what we call the eye wall. So as we focus over here, I'm not saying you're not having the hurricane, but we're always monitoring where the center or the circulation is going to move toward, and it really is because of that core, that donut-shaped area. As it slides up the southwestern side of the peninsula, and however it moves as it approaches Florida, the right side is a little bit stronger, but we're not talking about a whole lot of intensity change. All right, so please keep all of this in mind. All right, so here's what happened. What happened was, I don't even know why, it's just silly at this point. I'll give you the track, please. No, I'm not going to give you the track. You're not getting it. All right, it's my studio. This is my weather studio. All right, so here's the hurricane warning, no surprises. Pretty much all of Florida except the far western panhandle. This is as of 8 o'clock, but as I just mentioned, at 9:10, And that was this morning, about an hour after this came out. The center crossed over Kujo Key. Man, I hope you guys have hunkered down a little bit and have some supplies as well, because you're going to get something up there in North Georgia. This thing is not a single event, and we're going to share the wealth of whatever it can do. All right, so we have been watching. The cone has been way over here and over here and over here, and there's that left adjustment that we knew was going to come. We know still the motion is going to be, because it started to turn last night. Remember, the winds, the motion went from west to west-northwest, and now north-northwest. So this just reaffirms the fact that it has, started that turn. Unfortunately, the winds are at 130, and with the wind scale adjustment now, we have a Category 4 hurricane. So we're back to Category 4. All right. Again, all of this is not really good stuff, but I'm going to share it with you. So here it is, and this is the position as the Hurricane Center is. Their experts are saying, here's what we think is going to happen. Timing. All right. The X is where it currently is located. This is where the forecast position should be by, let's see, this should be by 8 o'clock tonight. This is tomorrow morning. Now notice tomorrow morning they kind of have it around the Bay, Tampa Bay area. Still is an M, and if you guys have been paying attention, because there was going to be a quiz, and I quizzed you guys, but most of you kind of know now. For those of you that don't, M is major hurricane. So as it, if it keeps moving, or if it moves more inland, the M says that it's going to retain major category status. That means the winds are 111 or higher. That's Category 3. That's what makes it major, but the wind speed is 111 and on up. It will keep moving generally in that north-northwesterly direction. In doing so, right side is over land, a little bit of friction, a little drier air. Okay, so a little bit of friction, a little bit of drier air does help, but, not fast enough for all of us who are so anxious and so nervous about this thing moving in and moving through. But there is that will play a role. So right now, and as I keep saying these kinds of things to you guys, keep in mind, we go with what we're looking at, and these things change. And it's really why I have said to you consistently, don't focus on the line, not a point. This hurricane is so big, it doesn't matter which coast of Florida you're on. Nobody escapes. Nobody escapes the impact. Some will have a little less, some will have a little bit more, but it will overcome the entire, width of the state of Florida, because the diameter of this thing is bigger than the width of the peninsula. Okay, so keep that in mind. You see a point, you see a line, it's just not that small and simple. So the overall motion right now still looks like, north-northwest. And yes, we have watched, and it's really too close for comfort right now, we have watched that adjustment, which has been more toward the west. And every time it inches a little bit closer, I think our nervousness and our anxiety has increased. I don't even know if it could increase any more, but it's there and it's at its highest level. All right, so I'll give you the line now. And there it is. And as you're watching it, this is the Tallahassee area. This is Leon County. And yes, everything today, this morning, and you've been watching stuff coming in from the Weather Service, they're saying that it really does get too close to us. And at this point, if that exact path were to continue to get carried out, we will have a pretty direct hit from Irma. It will be a hurricane. The H says it went from major to hurricane, but major, remember, started at 111. So the top end of what they're going to call just an H, just a hurricane, and I say just, tongue-in-cheek, starts at 74, but it goes up to 110. Starts at 74, goes to 110. Now, Hermine, our last year Labor Day hurricane, was a Category 1 hurricane, sustained winds at 80. This one could have possibly 110 mile an hour sustained winds when it comes here. And that is the sustained. There could be some gusts on top of that. Okay, so what would be the impact? Well, here's what it's doing. Here's the core area. The donut's the focus because the donut is exactly where the eye wall is, and that's the brunt of the hurricane. Again, no escaping. So a couple of things. Here's your latitude and longitude. You can see the motion clearly when I give you the lines. These are just, it's a grid, but it shows you exact motion because you can kind of see that the center lifts. I like the lift. I really want it to lift a little faster. I would love for this thing to be over in a couple of hours. This is never going to happen. This is going to be the longest 36 hours of your life. longest 36 hours of your life. And I know you guys in South Florida, you have started this yesterday. You've got all day today. We're not going to start really the impact of these tropical storm force winds until later today toward tonight. And we're going to be experiencing this through the daytime hours of tomorrow. So please, as best you can, try to be patient. All right, so there's the center. We watched it roll off the spine of Cuba. It lifted a little bit more toward the west-northwest, and now I see more of a northerly component. All right, so the northerly component, these are the keys that you can barely see. Those are the keys. Crossing over Cujo Key. That at 9:10, a gust of 106. I think that's what I just said to you guys, but you can see why. That red area moving across, that's what it did. All right, then it keeps moving in that north-northwesterly direction, so it's coming up the peninsula. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it's going. I wish I could. All right, can I preach for a little bit? Now you get Preacher Nancy. Stop listening to other people. Stop listening to my friend said, he heard, they heard, she heard. Stop that. I think the most important thing right now is that the information is as accurate as possible. And I can tell you this. I know Mike McCall. I know Rob Nucatola. They're doing their very best to make sure that the information is good and accurate. Don't listen to your neighbor. Don't listen to somebody that's been in the state of Florida for 100 years. Stop that. Stop the wrong information chain and listen to where the right information, the most accurate, the most reliable information is coming from. And so that's what you get preached about today. Be patient and stop listening to outside sources. All right, I'm done preaching. Back to the hurricane. That commercial message was brought to you by the preacher in Nancy Dignon. All right, so here it is, and we see it kind of approaching the extreme southwestern tip of the peninsula. All right, I have added now the forecast positions by the Hurricane Center. Again, it's a dot. It looks like it's tiny, but this is the hurricane. So when you see that dot, that's where they think that center, which is almost that same dot size, is going to be. Is it going to follow that same exact path? I've been candid with you guys, and I have said to you, and you guys now know it, because this is a little bit of weather school. It will wobble. They don't follow nice smooth paths, nice smooth lines. They kind of wobble, meander a little bit back and forth. Don't expect a smooth, clean motion. So if you see it on either side, that's okay. We're expecting that. I think the whole thing is, as long as it's doing what we're expecting overall, we know what's happening. All right. So here's where it was, crossing over Cujo Key at 9:10. We knew it would cross over. So there's the center right there. Here's what they were thinking. All right. Winds 106 gust is what the report was. That was at 9:10. That's, I think, our third landfall of the center of circulation. All right. Where are we at this point? There's that's your track. Notice. I think the center they said was, okay, we should probably look. Here we go. It's about 20 miles east-northeast of Key West. And that was the 9 o'clock. They're doing position updates every hour at the Hurricane Center website. That is nhc.noaa.gov. Okay, so that's the position. Intensity hasn't changed. Everybody's got the hurricane warning pretty much across the state. So at this point, there's nothing else to talk about. And that is the cone. Let's play it out. I'm going to take you on either side of this because you guys have to know what to expect. All right, what if? The what if right now is the left side. What if the path stays on the left side of the cone? And I don't have to tell you this because you know, but I will state this. That would be our worst case scenario. That will be our nightmare. If it stays on the left side of the cone, we are on the right side of its direction of motion. That is a slightly stronger side. That'll increase the storm surge along the coast. Hence, if you're in the coast or along the coast, get the hell out. That's why I'm saying that. If it stays on the left-hand side of the cone, that gives us a slightly stronger wind speed than the brunt of the hurricane. Think Hermine, but think a much stronger Hermine, because this thing has 130-mile-an-hour winds, and Hermine only had 80. Okay, that is our worst-case scenario. It's if it stays on the left side of the cone. The cone has been accurate, but as I've implored you guys, don't focus on the line because it will wobble within the cone. In a shorter term sense, the confidence, the accuracy is better. But as we extend out more width to the cone because there's more inaccuracy and more error, we don't even, shy away from it. We know 4 and 5 days out, we're about 200 miles on either side in error. So I just need you guys to know that. We know there's an error. We don't have the most accurate forecast for hurricanes because we don't have as much data with day-to-day forecasting. So the wobble, the shift on either side can happen, and it will. All right, but to our best ability, it will be within the cone. Left-hand side, again, up here. Worst case scenario. Right-hand side, still a bad scenario, but if it were to shift more to the right, inside the cone, for us, that's a better situation. We will still get wind, we will still get rain, but it will decrease the impact. We would have a little less in terms of how it will impact us. All right, let me go through a couple of these things real quick for you. Here's radar. So there's the hurricane. You can see the slow motion of it in terms of its rotation and its progression to the north. I'm sorry if I'm using too big a term, but I get into the meteorology gear, and so what you get is the science. All right, so still got some rain out here. These are the bands. These are some bands. So there's some breaks where you see yellow or orange, and then you see a little bit of green in between. And then there's the core, there's the eye wall. Okay, that's graphic number 1. Here's your rainfall forecast. This is not the thing that we are most concerned about right now. And again, I say that only because up here especially, our rainfall estimates may be, give or take a couple of inches around 6. So could be, 4, could be 8. Certainly that's plenty of rain, but it's not a real flooded situation. And this is not a Harvey. One more time, let me remind you, this is moving. It's not stalling out. It's not going to sit there for days and dump out, 30 inches of rainfall. And I am losing my voice, so let me take a drink of Powerade at this point. Blue today, because it's very, very good. All right, that's all you're going to get on a pun. All right, that's rainfall. And I don't mean to dismiss this, because if you're in the northeast Florida and everywhere south, and this goes all the way down to the southwest coast, you guys are actually going to get a whole lot more in the way of rainfall. So, totally serious, we're looking at about a foot. Again, give or take a couple of inches. A foot, give or take a couple of inches. All right, that's the rainfall. Here's your view. Here's your satellite view. This is that new GOES 16. This is a floater image, so it's kind of focused in on the hurricane, but this is probably the best stuff we have. It's not fully operational, but they're sharing pictures, and this gives us the best view because the detail, the technology is of the latest. It's really the up to the minute in terms of technology and satellite information. All right, watch the hurricane. There's the state of Florida. Hurricane comes in. It overtakes both coasts, east and west. Moves in from coast to coast. We have hurricane, right? It moves up, and we know this is what it's going to do, north, northwest. It moves up the peninsula of Florida. It moves up the peninsula of Florida, coast to coast cloud cover, coast to coast rain, coast to coast wind. If you are closer to the center, you get more. I don't know that that's something that you are going to have to cheer on at this point, because certainly that's the worst part of the hurricane. But this is really where the more intense hurricane force winds are located, again, in the eye wall. But you've got up to maybe 73 miles an hour in the bands on the outskirts, or even just outside the eye wall, because that's the tropical storm force wind, up to 73. And above that, that's your hurricane force wind. All right, so there's your size. There's your dimension. We're seeing a lot of cloud cover up here, even in North Florida. And I'm pointing this out so you can see what's going on. At this point, a couple of things are happening. And this is such a great image. I don't know that you guys can appreciate this the way I see it, and I'm just looking at it for the first time noticing this. We're also seeing the stacking here, so we can see high-level clouds. So if you watch carefully, there's motion up this way, and that motion up that way. Let's see who's calling. Okay, we'll talk later. I'm live. That was my sister. And I know, like all of you, your family's calling. I think at some point, give them assurances, then shut them down. And I'll call her back, but I can't keep talking to everybody, and I apologize if you're sending me messages on some sort of social media. I can't do this, nonstop. I also still have some things to do. So please, I'm doing this for you guys, but give me some time to let me finish up what I have to get done as well. So this is the outflow. See how it's moving this way? It's the opposite way of a hurricane, which rotates counterclockwise. Now, it rotates counterclockwise down low at the surface, counterclockwise. Above it, the air rushes in, it moves up, it spills the other way, so it's this whole three-dimensional engine, and so high pressure sits above a low. That's what that means. If this starts pulling out a little bit stronger than the inflow, then it strengthens. If it maintains, then it keeps the same intensity. But that's something that, as a scientist meteorologist, we look for. So actually, this is the first satellite I'm noticing it, and maybe I wasn't able to see it on the other versions, but that's here. So that's going up. There's high level that's supporting all of this. All right, here's the estimation of storm surge. And all of this can change. Again, I'm going to explain why the change, because there's the wobble, there's a shift. More to the right, there's more of a storm surge, especially from St. Mark's down to Apalachicola. More toward the left, then we are going to be seeing less of an influence, but it's still substantial. So high storm surge, highest storm surge across the state, right here, Southwest Peninsula, in excess of perhaps 10 to 15 feet. It depends on the time as it approaches. Hits at high tide, it's a higher storm surge. Hits at low tide, that would be helpful. But if it hits at high tide, these numbers are going up. So this is the lowest expectation of the water rise. All right, I'm dubbing it. Here's a 5 to 10 foot surge. Here's a pretty good surge on the southeast side, and everything has been coming in from that direction, right? It's been mostly an easterly flow. And when I say easterly, that's the direction it comes from, not where it's going, where it's coming from. All right, worst case scenario is the west coast of Florida. Two reasons. One is, this is where the eye is, right? This is where the circulation is strongest along the west coast. The second part of this is it's the Gulf Coast. Gulf Coast is shallow. It's a very shallow continental shelf. There's no room for the water to move to, so it has no place but to push ashore. That increases storm surge, so it's higher on the west coast. A little less on the east coast. The shelf is deep. The Atlantic side, it's less of an impact, but I'm not telling you there's no impact. There's impact. That's the storm surge. All right, what else do we have? We've got watches and warnings everywhere, but you guys already know this. We got a hurricane warning pretty much for the whole state. Okay, in actuality, it's Leon, Wakulla, and also down toward Franklin County and all areas south and east. And so this is hurricane warning, which says hurricane conditions 36 hours. We're in the window. You guys should know that by later today, we start with tropical storm force winds. That should be probably around the 8 o'clock or so hour. And then outside that, you've got tropical storm force winds. So let's see. Do we have, let's go there. That's what I want. This is the experimental thing. You guys have seen it in color. It's not so much of a clean version, but it's shifted depending on how the motion is, how fast it's coming in. I did like your post to everybody. It is frustrating because people want to talk to us, and I think it's increasing our anxiety and stress, and I think sometimes we have to walk away from communication, put out a blanket text or email or communication to your family and friends that says you're good, but we're now just kind of bracing, and we just have to finish up doing what we're doing at this point. All right, so this is early this morning. You have it. By early this afternoon, the lower half of Florida. Bottom half by 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is the top edge would be tropical storm force, and then inside it would be hurricane force. Here's 8 o'clock. It's kind of gone a little bit north late last night, a little bit south. So we're looking around 8 o'clock. Okay, and then farther north after that. What does that mean? Here's what it means. If you guys are still thinking about leaving, because we have a voluntary evacuation, if you're still thinking of leaving, you have till 8 o'clock tonight, because by then the winds start picking up. The worst thing that you can be in is a mobile home along the coast or in a car. If there's room for air to get underneath, air gets underneath. And so with that, we don't want you in it. Your window, if you want to leave, if you want to evacuate, you have till about 8 o'clock tonight. Make a good choice here. Why do you evacuate? Should I I can't answer this. What I can tell you, if you're in a mobile home, if you're along the coast, get out. Get out. You don't have to go by a hotel room. You call some friends if they have anchored homes that are well inland and secure. Go there, call them. No, there is so much kindness and generosity right now being expressed because we all know we're all in this together, and so we're on the same ship. So call somebody if you can. I know this, I think. Expedia.com/Florida for hotel rooms if you're kind of leaving the area. But whether inland, you should evacuate. This is Leon and Wakulla counties, inland, not the coastline. It's up to you. If you don't feel like your house is safe and secure, leave. Now, shelters are open. I don't have the lists. They are scrolling across your TV screen. The local stations are doing their best job to get that information to you. There are all kinds of websites. And oh, by the way, if you reach out on social media, somebody is going to help you almost instantly. I wanted to give you a quick update. I am seeing your anxiousness and your nervousness. We're all in this together. We're all going to experience it. We are still watching. It is lifting more north at this point, which means it is steadily approaching our peninsula. It has crossed the Keys at 9:10. It crossed over at Cujo Key with 106-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And then, everything across the entire peninsula, and that it does end up here in North Florida, will start to deteriorate today. Look, guys, that's all I got for you right now. I don't want to say, leave me alone. Stop trying to pressure. I'm doing this as best as I can, but like you, we're all trying to finish up what we have to do. I have chairs outside that I'm trying to bring in, and this is what I want you guys to be doing today. 2 things. Clean up. Now, when I say clean up, do your laundry. Do your laundry, so we're expecting power outages, and you have some clean clothes, so make sure that's taken care of. Also, take care of the dishes in the dishwasher. Leave everything kind of open because those are 2 items, your washing machine and your dishwasher. If you have to, you can stow things in. Think about where your insurance crap is today. Where are your insurance papers? And I'm going to have a oh crap bag. I think that's what I'm going to call it because you know me, I'm not really profane. Though I know I said hell before, so I apologize for that. I'm going to have an oh crap bag. It's going to have I'm State Farm. It's going to have my insurance papers in it in a Ziploc. It's going to have a couple of things of clothing. If everything fails, I'm going to have a bag that I can escape. There are shelters open. If you don't feel like your house is safe or secure, you guys need to go. The best thing that you can do is to be with people. Have people with you. It is far less an anxiety-driven event. I also, and I'm telling you this, I've said this before unabashedly, my husband's with LCSO, which means he's a deputy. Our first responders are out there. It's the fire department. It's the EMTs. It's the policemen and women. It's the deputies. They're out there. And they're on 12-hour shifts, which means they're 12 on, 12 off. He can't be with me during this event. So don't piss me off. Don't be out there and being a fool and say, I'm not evacuating. This is nothing. Whatever you think is happening, you're not my source of information, and I don't want that to be anybody else's source. You evacuate, you go, because if you cause my husband to have to go rescue you, I'm going to be really pissed off. And that is for every first responder out there. You can't risk their lives. If you want to be a fool, that's on you. But don't jeopardize them trying to have to rescue you because they're not going to be able to do it. Do you hear me when I say this? They can't come get you. So you need to be where you need to be. I'm going to breathe. I got some Powerade. I got some cleanup to do. You have done your laundry. You have done your dishes. Get outside. If there is anything that can fly around, you bring it in, you pack it. It doesn't matter what things look like. We're not entertaining. Bring it in, secure it. I don't want missiles. Eliminate missiles. I got some furniture. I got some chaise lounges by the pool. I've got furniture that I still didn't pull in, but everything else is packed up. I'm clearing it all out. That's what I want you guys to be doing right now. So that's your job. I have assigned chores. Laundry, dishes, outside, everything in, secure it all. I'll try to get back to you later. Watch nhc.noaa.gov. Again, most of the local state, I haven't really looked, but I have watched Channel 6, and they've done a great job, by the way. They have windows. They're posting their windows of when they're coming in live to give you information. They have very specific shelter, closings, all that information. I'm good. There is a shelter for law enforcement, and, unless the house falls apart, I'm staying. and we are doing our very best. So I want you guys to do the same thing. Do your very best. I'm saying goodbye for now. I have done my best right now. We'll chat later. All right. And the 11 o'clock is the next advisory, 25811. Every hour you'll get a position, but 25811 you get the advisories. So look for the next one at 11. We'll try to get a graphic up, but right now I just wanted to give you a quick update. Be prepared. Don't be stupid. Be prepared. All right. We'll chat later, guys. Be safe.